Welcome to English Activation. My name is Miss Carmen, English teacher, and this is a new podcast where we are going to explore about what really happened when you try to use English in real life situations. Let's get started. I hope that each episode helps you understand your linguistic skills more clearly, recognize what may be behind your speaking blocked, and develop a more natural, confident, and flexible English voice. Because improving your English is also about learning how to access and use the language you already know when you need it. If you recognize yourself in the situations we are going to explore today, English Activation is also my 3 months online program for people who want to overcome speaking blocks and use English more confidently in meetings, presentations, and real conversations. Over 12 weeks, we work on speaking fluency, pronunciation, and the strategic use of grammar and vocabulary in context, always connected to the situation in which you personally need English. So let us start this podcast by asking ourselves questions. As you may know, I love asking questions to myself and questioning everything around in order to expand my brain and learn new things. So the first question is, have you ever prepared a presentation in English? Know exactly what you wanted to say. And then when you are in this presentation, you completely lost your train of thought in the moment someone asks you a question. Maybe you knew the answer. You could even explain it clearly in your own language. But sometimes you are doing some translation in your head, and then the conversation kept moving ahead. You took too long, starting doubting your words, and finally gave a much simpler answer. An answer that is not the one that you really wanted to give. The same thing can happen when you listen to someone speaking English. You understand much of what they are saying, recognize the vocabulary, and follow the general idea. Then it's your turn to speak, and your minds go blank. What shall I say? How do I begin? What if I use the wrong word? At the moment you may decide that your level of English is not high enough, that you need more grammar, or that you must learn hundreds of new words, then your English is getting blocked. But it's not because you don't have the vocabulary or the grammar to express yourself. Maybe it's a train of thought that is negative, that brings you to a very low self-esteem, and that is affecting to your expression. So yet the real difficulty is not in how much you know, but in how much English you can access under pressure situations. Recognizing the language when you read or you listen calmly is one thing. Maybe you can be at home and you are reading the newspaper, or you are just reading a book that you like. You are calm, so then your English, it's much more relaxed, so you can have access in your mind to a lot of knowledge. But if you're in a presentation and you have in front of you someone that is waiting for an answer, then this is a different demand. This is a different situation. So this difference become especially visible at work. Maybe you have rehearsed your presentation for hours. As long as you can follow the expected order, everything feel under control. Then someone interrupt you, change the focus, or ask a question you did not anticipate or you didn't expect, then your memorized sentence is no longer useful and you have to build a real answer. That is when the block can appear. First, you create the answer in your own language. Then you try to translate it. And then you mentally are checking if this translation is correct. Only after that you do, you begin to speak. By the time the answer arrives, you may already have lost part of the connection with the listener. This helps explain why some people still feel insecure in meetings, interviews, and presentations after studying English for years. They have accumulated knowledge, yes, but they still need to turn it into a resource that is available during real communication scenario. It's also explain why your English can change so dramatically depending on the subject. When you talk about a trip, a hobby, or something that you really have interest in, your attentions move towards what you want to share. Images, memories, and emotions appear. Your voice has more rhythm, and the words become easier to access. When the subject feels serious or professional, here you may begin to watch yourself from the outside, and then you may be judging yourself. Is my pronunciation correct? Is this sentence appropriate? Or may I make a mistake? That constant self monitoring take up a significant part of your attention. And speaking requires attention, listening, understanding the other person's intention, choosing a response, organizing it, and maintaining a human connection. That is why improving your spoken English does not always mean adding more content, studying more. Sometimes progress begins when you consciously observe what's happened at the exact moment you are freeze, you are blocked. Do you lose yourself when someone interrupts you? Do you need to translate every idea? Do you understand the question but struggle to give an answer? That's your voice change when you feel evaluated. Each of these situations require different kind of work. Placing all of them under the label my English is not good enough prevent you from seeing what is actually happening. Approaching the language consciously means understanding your patterns, recognizing the resources, recognizing how you are using what you already know, and then strategically using this part of knowledge that you need in the real life. So that requires attention, that requires training. So your goal may be to participate in a meeting, maybe without falling behind, to answer questions without losing the, the conversation, explain a complex idea without translating it word by word, or to sound confident even when you need a few seconds to think. This kind of progress is not always visible in a list of grammar rules you have learned. You notice it when you become more present, when your response arrives with less effort, and when every conversation stops feeling like it is an exam. So maybe the question is not only how can I learn more English? Maybe you also need to ask what happened to the English I already know when I have to use it in real life? This question completely changed the starting point. So, in the next episode, we will explore the blocks that appear when you speak English, the linguistic resources that support real conversation, and the relationship between emotion, attention, and fluency. My name is Miss Carmen, English teacher, and this is English Activation, a space to stop accumulating English and start activating. from a very strategic point of view and making English part of your life. See you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening.